The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has issued a statement following President Tinubu's New Year's address. If we can take a look at the highlights from the president's address to the nation, wants to improve electricity supply, simplify tax laws, improve the business environment, cultivate over 500,000 hectares of farmland, and of course, local petroleum refinery. We just broke that news, of course, that the Dangote refinery has gotten its 4th crude shipment. Now, here are the highlights of the LCCI's statement signed by Dr. Chinyere Amona, who's the Director General. They've got electricity structure concerns, seeking privatization of power transmission. They want to enhance security in agriculture, also want the ripple effects of the removal of fuel subsidy to be looked at, and then more detail on security strategy. So we're happy to have the President and Chair of the Council of the LCCI, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Good morning to you, sir. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So beginning with, I guess, electricity. The letter said you have concerns about the electricity structure. Do you mean government's presence in the electricity structure? Is that the concern?
Yeah, the concern is that the electricity sector is like a three-leg relay race. You have generation, you have transmission, and then you have distribution to the homes and industries. The generation and distribution have been privatized. So there's a lot of private sector investment and technology that is driving those two sectors. But transmission remains in the hands of government. And the logic at the beginning of the privatization was to privatize the electricity supply industry, which is made of 3 parts. Now you have the middle leg of the race still in the hands of government, by itself has agreed that it needed private sector investments in technology and financial resources to improve it. So that is the concern, that if you really want significant improvement, you need to bring private sector investments and technology in the transmission leg of the industry, because you cannot have 2 legs running with the power and energy of the private sector and have the transmission in the middle still in the hands of government. And it doesn't justify the essential reason for starting the privatization program. So that is the essential concern we have as far as the structure of the industry is.
You know, actually, let's even, we had Arise Exchange anchor Bosun Amofaya on the morning show, and it's very interesting. He echoed those exact sentiments. Let's take a listen to that.
We need to open up our electricity. Look at the TCN, for example, when we look at the energy. These are TCN, we need to allow people to come in very quickly. The EFDB wanted to help us a few years ago, I think under Buhari's administration. They brought in someone from EFDB to help us head the transmission company of Nigeria. It didn't last.
Why do you think this transmission, I mean, everyone is echoing these similar sentiments. I mean, is it that government wants to make sure it still has a hand in the value chain? Why do you think this transmission issue is just so difficult to get sorted out?
It's not difficult. It's a matter of having the courage to take decisions that needs to be made. It took us 30 years to remove fuel subsidy. It's not a difficult decision to make. It just requires a leader that knows that this decision has to be taken. That is all that is required. And there is a structure that has worked. We keep saying from the private sector that we don't really need foreign advice a lot. We just take experience. Take the experience we had with the Nigeria LNG. About 30 years ago, we understood we couldn't run that kind of business. But we still wanted to have an important stake in it. So we kept 49% and asked foreign investors who had the technology, have the resources, to take 51%. And we have a very robust Nigeria LNG. That's the largest contributor of foreign exchange to NNPC, the largest payer of tax to the federal inland revenue. So it is possible to get investors to come into the transmission on the same platform. It's a very important part of our economy. So we need to have a good stake in it. So we can hold 49% of the transmission and get around the world, as just been mentioned, there are transmission grid operators who have always approached Nigeria to say, look, you are bigger than our country. The Koreans wanted to come in. Korea was 40 million at that time. We were almost 200 million. And we are running a very successful transmission system in Korea. We can be part of the Nigerian transmission system. Canadians also came in at various points to do the same thing. But that decision, that will to say, let a partner come in and take a reasonable percentage that gives them control. 51% like Nigeria LNG. And you will see the transmission company behave very differently. But so long as government wants to hold on to it for whatever, personal quote unquote unknown reasons, you will have the struggle that the electricity industry is going at the federal level. There's no other way to make it work. Because if I want to put my money in an enterprise that large, I want to have a little bit of control. If I have less than 51%, I wouldn't put all the energy that I need to put for it to work. And you need a lot of energy, you need a lot of funding. Borrowing here and there, as we try to do now, is not going to do anything.
Well said. Let's move to agriculture. Your letter also saying more security there. Again, we've had these unfortunate incidents in Plateau State, which we've been covering extensively. What needs? Do we need soldiers on farms? What essentially needs to happen here too? Because we've been talking about this security issue with agriculture. What do you think?
Again, we don't need soldiers on the farm. Any country the size of Nigeria, that even 1/3 the size of Nigeria, any country with 40, 50 million people, has not been able to keep their country safe with only one level of policing. That is, you don't have soldiers being involved in basic civil security. But you have a federal police, you have a state police, you have a county or local government police, you have metro policing, and then you have rural or suburban police. If you live in New York, it's not the federal or state police that secures you, it's the NYPD, the New York Police Department. So long as we have this federal police type of thing, and somebody in Abuja is supposed to take care of security in Burutu on the riverside and take care of a farmland in Lela in Sokoto State, there's no science that will make it work. So just as important as fuel subsidy and foreign currency convergence is the decision that needs to be made to move policing from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. Thereby, all hands will be on the security deck. The federal police, the state police, metro police. Then you will not need, soldiers are trained for a different function. You need to secure the rural areas by regular police patrol anywhere in the world. What secures the local neighborhoods anywhere in the world is regular, physically present police patrol 24 hours. But calling soldiers to come in when some people strike and then they go away and then they strike again and you call them.
Yeah, it's by round and around we go. But Mr. Idahosa, you mentioned the example with New York. I mean, the federal police, state, municipal, and so on and so on, metro police and so on. That's an expansion. That's more staff. That's budgets. That's more spending. We've already seen a level of borrowing, and there are budget constraints, and the states. Outside of it, Lagos, Delta, Rivers, so many of the other states are constrained fiscally. How do you execute that?
It is where you choose to put your money.
Right.
Egypt, the population of Egypt is half of our population.
Nigeria, yeah.
Their police is 3 million compared to the police we have.
Right.
So it is where you put, if you look at the federal budget and see a lot of places where money is put, you are wondering, where is our priorities?
Right.
If you are spending billions building a house for a minister, for a vice president, and all of that, and you don't have money for policing to secure the villages, where the food, we have food inflation is the highest driver of inflation in Nigeria.
Right.
So if you want to deal with that, you want to make every farmer safe to be able to go to the farm in the day and in the night. When this country was safe, farmers will go very early in the morning before sunrise and do a lot of work before the heat comes up. And then when the sun starts to go down in the evening, they do a lot of work. But farmers are so scared now, even to go to the farm and spend a few hours. It's a risky, it's a life-threatening venture just to go to farm. So if you don't fix that, I don't know where else you want to put money. Because in fact, you are guaranteed rising food inflation so long as our farmlands are not safe. There is no way you can address food inflation when our farms are not safe for farmers to go to farm.
Gotcha. The letter also talks about getting more clarity on the country's security strategy. Are you asking for more transparency or more, more explanations as far as what the country tends to do or what intends to do to improve security?
No, the clarity is how soon do you want to move from a centralized to a concurrent policing environment.
Right.
That because all through the 8 years of the immediate past administration, a number of years before then, every state governor, every state assembly in this country have demanded state police consistently. The governors forum at several times all over the 8 years of the previous administration made a resolution demanding state police. So we want clarity into how soon that will be done. The same way we have removed fuel subsidy, the same way we have addressed foreign currency convergence, because there is a solution of concurrent policing at all levels that is sustainable, that is almost close to 100% sure of achieving the level of safety we need across our country, both in the urban and rural areas. How soon will that be done? We didn't hear anything about that in the presidential speech. We haven't had anything from the National Assembly. And we all agree as a country over the last 8 to 10, 15 years that that is the primary solution. First, you set the framework, and it's up to each state to decide how much to invest in policing. A city like Onitsha can decide to have a metro police. All the local governments in Onitsha and the business community in Onitsha will be quite happy to invest heavily in an Onitsha metro police and ensure that Onitsha is safe. Same thing for a city like Kano that has a number of local governments. If you have a Kano metro police, they will invest, the business community, the local governments will invest all the resources required to make Kano safe. The same thing here in Lagos. The Security Trust Fund in Lagos is showing that we can actually invest, the business community and government can invest and make a state safe. That is why Lagos is relatively safe, because there's a huge amount of investment from the private sector with the state government. And you see it. Any resident in Lagos can feel the security provided in Lagos. But that is still an effort that is close to a state police in Lagos. But you don't have that in other states. And you cannot attract that at a level of business, the business community commitment, if you don't have a state or metropolis. If you give a metropolis to Kano, the business community in Kano will put all the money they need to put in to make a Kano metropolis to keep Kano safe. So that is the clarity we are asking for. How soon is government going to address the fundamental solution to keeping our people safe, whether in the urban or in the rural areas where all the food we produce has to be produced? And it's not throwing money into building more farms, only for bandits or whoever to come destroy the farms, kill the farmers, and then you send the soldiers to go and save them, and then you put more money in the farm, they come again and destroy them, and you don't deal with the fundamental solution to keeping our people safe.
It's so tied in with the economy, the prosperity of the economy. Let's also talk about studying the ripple effects of subsidy removal. What do you mean by that? You just wanted to see how far the impact has been, going forward.
Yeah, we are talking of calibration of the effects. For example, after removal of the subsidy, each state is taking some measures. So how many CNG buses do we have in Lagos? How many do we have in Borno State? How many do we have in Ogun State? How many do we have in Edo State? We could have a monthly, or at least a monthly, if not a quarterly report of what is going on state by state. It doesn't have to be by government alone, but government and private sector can put a body together, including the labor union, the media, and say, let us track the progress in all these palliative or post-fuel removal activities. So we can have a monthly marker, state by state. Borno State has brought out 100 buses, CNG buses. Adamawa has done something like that. Ogun State did something recently. Bayelsa did, but you don't have it like a dashboard where all of this is going, and the public is really government is doing something about the solutions to the removal of fuel subsidy. A lot is happening that you have to struggle, because in the Lagos Chamber, we have a research capacity to track some of this. We know that some of the things are happening. Perhaps Ogun State will come out with a lot more CNG buses very soon because of what they have done. But many people don't even know. So that tracking, to give confidence that things are really happening, it makes everyone feel that, okay, we are suffering now, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Mr. Gabriel Idahosa, the president and chair of the council, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, because you're a very data-driven executive. We thank you so much for your time joining us on the Global Business Report.
Thank you.